Welcome in, Frostburg State fans, to Week 7 of the Frostburg Sports Awards, and we're kicking things off with our Male Athlete of the Week, Jake Stretch from baseball, who had a really fine game as baseball upset the number 24 team Franklin Pierce on Saturday. Jake, I just want to get your thoughts for the team's performance overall this weekend and your performance as well.
Great performance. I mean, obviously not the result we wanted with 2 losses on the weekend, but first win against a ranked team for Frostburg, so that's big time. I mean, we struggled in the game, bunch of errors, but other than that, fought our way back.
I did want to talk about that. You know, people looking outside of the game see 7 errors and the team still coming out with the win. How were you guys able to overcome that? I mean, it just seemed like, you know, the team just didn't have their sorts together defensively, but being able to have enough offense and enough, you know, stable pitching to come over that, you know, how was it that you guys were able to win that game, essentially?
Yeah, our pitchers fought all the time. I mean, they gave up way too many unearned runs, but other than that, our offense, we're super confident. We got one of the best offenses in the league, and we just can come back from any deficit, so.
And you yourself in that game, team was down 8-3 at one point in that game. And then the ability to come back. You came in on as a pinch hitter and got a pair of key hits and a big double to give us the lead. One of your pair of doubles on that game. You know, for yourself, what was it like to come off the bench and be able to have the confidence from head coach Anthony Williams in that spot to know that you could do that job?
Yeah, it was awesome. Just been waiting for my opportunity. Finally get it. It's good to come up big time for the team, especially in a win like this against a ranked team.
And then coming in from shortstop, from your fielding position into pitch that last inning, was it, you know, going through your mind, was you nerve-wracked, or were you pretty confident in yourself that you could help this team and get those final 3 outs with the 2-run lead to get the win?
I was definitely confident. I mean, all of high school I'd come in from shortstop and pitch the last inning, but the adrenaline's crazy. The adrenaline is what you run off of when you're saving. I mean, to be able to come in and close that game, it's always exciting.
We could see it on the live stream, and something that's been a theme for your entire road trips this year, where, you know, going down to the bottom of West Virginia, going out to North Carolina, but the Frostburg fans have traveled pretty well, and at the end of that game against Franklin Pierce, it seemed like, you know, it was essentially a home game for us with the amount of cheering and support. And how big was that for you guys, where you're on these long trips, but you still have that home base to lean back on?
That is awesome. I mean, the fans bring the energy, and that correlates to the dugout bringing the energy, which is just everybody wants to contribute. Everyone wants to keep the momentum rolling.
You go into this weekend coming up, and it's another road trip for you guys, and it'll be the last one before conference play starts. And next weekend following, you get to come back home onto Bob Wells Field. How important has it been to get these road games in and to get the play time, be tested in a bit against some really good teams, again, playing 2 ranked teams this weekend, but, you know, going into conference play where we picked up a pair of first-place votes this year and kind of showing that in the non-conference schedule, but to have the confidence and the ability to play against these teams now going into conference play.
Yeah, it's definitely a good test. I mean, we're looking like we have our end goal in sight. We want to win the conference. We're confident we can do that. We have the skills. So this test early is definitely good. And the losses, I mean, we'll learn from them, get better.
It was one thing that I saw Coach Williams tweeted about, and he said that it's a lot of learning experience for you guys. What were some of those key things that you learned just from this weekend about playing those ranked teams and, you know, dealing with those first losses of the year?
Yeah, dealing with the first losses, I mean, obviously they're going to come. We weren't going to have a 50-game undefeated schedule. But playing the ranked teams, we were up there with the big dogs, so we know we can play with them. We're not underestimating ourselves. Like, we're good. We can play with any team.
Okay, Jacob, well, thank you for coming on today to come and talk to us. Obviously, you've got your classes and games and schedule with practices and coming thick and thin, but we really appreciate you being here. Congratulations on the win. Wishing you the best of luck for this weekend as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, next up, we will have our Female Athlete of the Week, Jayla Hill from softball, who had a monster Saturday against Barton, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. And as always, go Bobcats. We are back on Week 7 of the Frostburg Sports Awards with Jayla Hill from softball, who had a 3-homer day on Saturday against Barton as the softball team split, and then they won their doubleheader against Virginia State on Sunday. Jayla, just want to get some of your thoughts on the team's performance and your performance overall this weekend.
Overall, I feel like the team did really well. Like, compared to our first weekend, the bats were definitely on. I feel like we did a lot better in general. For me, I feel like for me, I did better as well with making contact and producing more hits and RBIs for the team.
In the first game of the weekend against Barton, a really slow day offensively, really, for both teams, and it was you that came up with a big homer in that one to take the lead. And then the team, just a couple of outs away in that bottom of the seventh and then taking it to extra innings. But, going into that, it was a really, really tight game for both teams and figuring out the pitching, two really good pitching staffs on tap. But to get that first home run for you, what was that emotion like to give that lead and have that momentum?
Oh, it felt great. Seeing my teammates, like as I was rounding the bases, seeing them at home plate waiting for me, cheering, and the energy and everything was up. It was really nice.
So we go into extra innings, and then another freshman teammate of yours, Samara Funk, came up with a really big hit to score that leading run, and then you came up right after and hit another home run. That was a two-run homer to put up a 5-2 lead at the time. What was the emotion after that one then for you guys to have that hit and be able to get a little bit of breathing room going into that bottom of the eighth?
It felt even better than the first one, honestly. Knowing that it was a close game to begin with, and Samara had brought in the run with her hit, and then I putting more runs on the board, like securing the score and everything, it felt really nice.
So going into game two then, it was another really close game, and 0-0 for a good number of innings, and then the top of the sixth, you were able to hit a home run to give us the lead. And in that moment, was it another feeling of like getting a big hit for the team, or is it more you're wanting to celebrate with everyone else rather than just focusing on your own accolade?
I'd rather like celebrate with everyone else. It felt like a team thing, knowing that it was a close game.
In that Barton game, then a hard loss to take for you guys in the 2-1 in that bottom of the eighth. Going into the next day, were you feeling any kind of downturn, or were you excited to get back out on the field and start a new day after a pair of really long games for you guys?
We were still excited, like knowing that game, it was a tough loss and hard fought. We still kept the momentum throughout the weekend to keep us going for the VSU games.
In those games, it was really the offense that were powering, 20 combined runs after, just 29 runs total in the previous games. To put up that amount in two games where, you had the 3 home run day on Saturday, but it was really, the rest of the lineup really caught up in that day. Ryan Darling and Bree Powell and Christina Summercamp all came up with multi-RBI days. And that speaks to the power of this lineup where, obviously you've got the power hitting in the home runs where they can come in with the big contact hits, speed on the base paths as well, where it looks like, after that game, the lineup is finally coming together. Is that something you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. We do a lot of hitting in practice, and I feel like it's starting to pay off.
I wanted to talk about the pitching staff as well, where it's a very young staff. You're starting Sydney Theobald, who's the experienced leader essentially as a sophomore. Katie Chappell and Jamie Roberts, both as freshmen, are now getting starts. Jamie specifically on Sunday pitched a really, really solid game against Virginia State, and it was her first win of her career. How were you guys reacting to that after she got her first start and her first win in that game?
We were super excited for her and very happy. Like, she did a really good job.
Going into this weekend, then, it's your last road trip down to Tennessee for a couple of really tough games, and especially on Sunday against Carson Newman, who's a ranked team and one of the top in the country. Going into that, and we've talked to your head coach, Bill Vasco, and he said that it's going to be a lot of learning experiences. With a lot of the results, they won't take a ton from. Obviously, everyone wants to win, but it's going to be more about learning how this team is going to play and working things out. So going into this last weekend, what's going to be your mentality, and what do you think the team's mentality is going to be before conference play starts?
Just keep pushing forward. We know what we're capable of. All of us work hard in practice. Everyone's always staying after. We know that we can do it, and we're capable of playing at everyone's level.
All right, Jayla, thank you for coming on today to talk to us. Obviously, you've got your classes and practices and games all coming through, but we really appreciate you being here through the long road trips as well. And congratulations on your weekend. We'll hopefully see you again on this show at some point this year.
Thank you.
All right, well, wrapping up our week, next up, we'll continue with softball with Bill Vasco, who is our coach of the week. As mentioned, softball picked up 3 wins on the weekend, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. Wrapping up the Frostburg Sports Awards for Week 7 is Bill Vasco from softball after they picked up 3 out of 4 wins this past weekend with a win against Barton followed by 2 wins over Virginia State. Coach, just want to get some of your overall thoughts on the team's performance for this weekend.
I thought we came out and did really well against a really good Barton team who was 9-1 at the time, and to be able to get that victory over them in the first game was really good. Really disappointing how the second game turned out, being up 1-0 and having the first 2 outs of the 7th inning. So, that one still stings a little bit for me. To try to get 2 wins from a really solid team like that would have been great, but I'm glad that we were able to finish it up with 2 wins on Virginia State, and they were solid wins, and we came out and did what we needed to do there.
I'm going to start off with that Barton doubleheader. Game 1, it was very little offense for a good majority of the game, and teams kind of went back and forth throughout. Got the 2-1 lead going into that final inning, and then Sid, who's a great pitcher in her own right as a sophomore now, and allowing that 1 run, but was able to come back then in the 8th inning and pitch the team to a win after coming up with a big hit from Samara Funk in the top of the 8th, and obviously Jayla Hill's home run. It was just her second of the game. But speaking on Sydney, and last year as a freshman may have looked at it and said, she may have lost her confidence in that bottom half of the inning. Now she's got a year under her belt. She's becoming more confident in herself, and she's able to get those 3 outs to get the team the win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we counted on Sid a lot at the end of the season, especially in the conference tournament. And she did really well pitching a lot of innings for us and giving us some quality time on the mound that helped us make that little bit of a run in the conference tournament. And she's kind of picked up where she's left off, keeps improving each week. And obviously, again, like I said, Barton was a really good team, and for her to go out and, hold them down a little bit and then seal the deal at the end of the game, that was huge. And, a big performance from her on the mound to help us get that win.
Yeah, and in that moment, her getting pitcher of the week as well for the MEC, and a big honor for her for that. In Game 2, very similar to the first game where neither team really had much offense. It was really a pitching duel with us having Katie Chappell out there, who has a really good season so far this year. Barton throwing really well as well. Jayla Hill got, again, the big hit in the top of the 6th and getting the 1-0 lead. But then, bottom of the 7th, once again, the 2 outs and allowing that tying run. Unable to come up with the big hit in the 8th, and then Barton got that winning run. But, like you said, kind of stings a little bit, but it's still, for a lot of the young players in Chapel especially, where it's one of those learning experiences where, you go into the next week and you think, well, last weekend got away with B, this weekend's not going to happen, and just, you hate to see the loss, but it's good for the team overall to have that experience of learning how to lose games like that.
Absolutely, and especially against good teams. And that was what was important about bouncing back the next day, was we came back and got 2 wins. But like you said, it was good experience. It was just disappointing because Kate Chappell had such a dominating performance the entire game. And I know she was disappointed in that, and it's not her fault. Barton just had some things go their way there towards the end, and then we followed it up in the 8th inning with a questionable call that kind of took us out of some momentum there that we thought we had going. And then Barton capitalized in that bottom of the 8th. So kudos to them. That's what good teams do, and I think we're a really good team as well, and we showed that. And now that we've kind of gotten that experience and we've had some really tough competition to start this spring, that it's going to serve us well down the road.
Get into Sunday's game then against Virginia State, and in those it was really the story of the offenses in both games, putting up 8 and then 12 runs, 20 runs combined after, in every game previous to that was 29 total runs. So to get that in just 2 games, certainly spectacular. And talked about Jayla a lot for that Saturday, but then it was everyone else pretty much stepping up after that. I mean, Ryan Darling had a really good first game, and then Bree Powell and Christina Summercamp came up big in the second game, and really the offense just seemed to click, where they were just putting balls in play all day and taking advantage on the base pass as well.
Yeah, the pitching wasn't as good on Sunday that we saw, so we capitalized on that and did what we needed to do, which was really nice to see. There were some times I felt like we struggled a little bit in both games just because the speed was a little bit different. We didn't make adjustments as well as we needed to, which is kind of what we've struggled with at the plate all season. The caliber of pitching has been up and down throughout the series of games that we've played, and our hitters haven't always made adjustments, and then we eventually figured it out in that first game and then carried the momentum over to the second game. So I was really happy that we were able to do that, and like I said, bounce back from that second game loss against Barton to be able to come out and get 2 wins and make it decisive was nice.
One of the best pitching performances you did see was from your own team and Jamie Roberts, who got her first start of the year in a really fantastic game one for her, went the full distance and got into a little bit of trouble in some innings, but was able to get out of it and didn't allow very much at all. And, how big was it for her to get that first start and the first win of her college career on that day where she hasn't made a start yet this year and to put a big performance there?
It was definitely a big confidence booster for her. I know in her first outing or her appearance earlier in the season, it didn't go as probably she would have liked. So to be able to go out there and dominate pretty much the whole game and the defense back her up on that and then the offense doing what they need to do gives her confidence moving forward to be able to develop and that she can go out there and help us when she's called upon on the mound.
Another big performer on that day was Kennedy Bachelor, who went 0 for 8 against Barton. As you said, really good pitching from Barton on that day, but went 5 for 7 in total against Virginia State. Also had 3 or 4 stolen bases as well, got it done on the base paths, and really came together in that game for her after a bounce back from a tough day offensively. But just speaks to the mentality of she's a senior and she's able to get in those moments and have the confidence to bounce back.
Yeah, she kind of was the spark plug at the beginning of the season. We moved her up near the top of the lineup, and she's batted leadoff for most of the part. We switched things up a little bit in the one game where she hit second, but absolutely stepped up, like you said, as a senior when we needed her to get on base and do what she needs to do to help the offense score runs. So it was really nice to see that, and she's played stellar defense throughout the beginning part of the season as well, so she's been a big part of our success so far.
Going into this weekend now and a big road trip down to Tennessee for the last real long road trip of the year for you guys in the non-conference against 2 really good teams in King and a ranked Carson Newman team. What's going to be the preparation for you guys where it's been a lot of tough teams that you guys have played against early in this spring? Again, another 2 tough opponents this weekend where, we talked in the preseason when you gave our season preview, and it was going to be about the learning experiences and not too much focusing on results. But, at this point in the season, now some of the players are keying in on the results and trying to get those wins, especially after you win 3 out of 4. So what's going to be the message going into this weekend for the team to prepare them for it?
Well, obviously, the pitching and the defense have been our strengths so far in the early part of the season. So this week we're really going to focus on whatever we need to do to make adjustments. We know we're going to see good pitching this weekend. We got to be prepared for that. We'll try to find a way. We've tried to mix up and do whatever we can to score some runs, and that's going to kind of be our philosophy heading into this weekend. Whatever it takes to scratch across some runs, because I'm expecting our pitching and defense to continue what they've done, and we need to give them that support. Like you said, it's been a learning experience so far. Now's the time to really see where we stand up. I thought we matched up well with Barton, who was a really good team, and now it's a really great opportunity against 2 more good teams to kind of see where we're at as we head into conference play here in another week and a half or so. So I'm excited to get out there. The key is going to be, and the message is going to be, we need to keep up our energy and enthusiasm for all 4 games, no matter what happens. I thought against Barton in the first game, we out-energied them, if that's a word, in that first game, and really put the pressure on them. And you could see it in their faces. They've only lost 1 game, and that pressure they hadn't really seen, and it affected them a little bit. And I thought we came out a little bit flat when things didn't go our way, even though it was a real tight game the entire game. That energy wasn't as good, so we need that all 4 games and keep learning from that we've got each other's backs and we're going to find a way to win. So we're going to go out there, give it our best effort, and I'm looking forward to stepping on the field against opponents like that.
Well, Coach, thank you for coming on today to come and talk to us. We really appreciate your time here, and congratulations once again on your weekend, and hope we see some more wins this upcoming weekend as well, right before MEC play. But thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, next week we'll be back with Week 8 of the Frostburg Sports Award. We'll have another couple of athletes and another coach, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. Go Bobcats!